Welcome to episode 25 of the Brew Scoop. I'm Scoop, that's Cole and Kian. Today we're going to recap the Pirates and Astros series along with all of our normal segments along the way before we preview the rest of the road trip that starts in Miami in about 20 minutes. So what's going on besides the spaghetti over there, Ryan Brown forever?
Not much. 2 episodes in a row. Can't remember the last time I did that.
No shit.
Feels pretty good.
Congrats.
Good to be back.
Yep, just another week of the Brewers getting it done. Sadly, we'll talk about it, but the Astros are starting to show a little bit of life of what the Astros are capable of being, but still not a bad week.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe that people were counting the Astros out already. Look at, they're almost 500 again.
Yep.
All right, well, moving right into the weekly recap. The Brewers played 6 games since we last spoke. They played against Pittsburgh at home. They took game one. The Buccos took a 5-0 lead off of Colin Ray, Thyago Vieira, and Mitch White. Eventually gave up 2 more after the Brewers scored 2. So it was 7-2 when Jake Bauers came to play with the bases loaded. He hit a grand slam. But unfortunately, the Brewers still lost 8-6. Good to see them, like we've said, getting back into games even when they seem out of hand. Something we didn't see from last year's team too often. Game 2 of the series, Joe Ross went 5 innings and then gave up 2 earned. Brewers scored 4 in the second, including a Sal Frelick home run, and that was enough to get it done. They won 4-2. Then game 3, Contreras, Sanchez, Frelick, Ortiz, and Churio all homered off Martin Perez. William Contreras added a triple and a single. He was a double away from the cycle. Robert Gasser went 5 innings pitched with 1 earned. Brewers won 10-2. Gasser becomes the first pitcher in franchise history to win his first 2 appearances, which I thought was pretty incredible. I can't believe that no one else has won their first 2 appearances. And then heading down to Houston, just missed a tornado down there. Brewers made it to town Friday night. Bauers hit a solo shot to start it off. The Astros had a 2-run homer. Ortiz hammered back with a 3-run shot, which looked pretty big until Jeremy Pena hit a 3-run shot of his own off of Freddie. Freddie went 5 innings with 5 earned. Unfortunately, didn't look quite like the Freddie that we've seen all year, but that's going to happen from time to time, obviously. Fortunately, that was the difference in the game. Josh Hader gets the save against his old team, and the Brewers lose 5-4. Game 2, Bryce Wilson went 4 2/3 with 2 earned. Hobie, Peguero, Brian Hudson, Trevor McGill were scoreless the rest of the game for the Crew. In the 5th, William Contreras had probably the at-bat of the year, at least obviously so far this year, but maybe it might be all season long, and we say that here on May 20th. 13-pitch at-bat with 2 outs and 2 strikes off of Justin Verlander, and Contreras takes pitch number 13 and puts it in the left center bleachers. 3-run home run. The Brewers end up winning 4-2. And then game 3 against the Astros, the Brewers were down 6-1. They scored 6 in the 7th to make it interesting, but Kyle Tucker's second homer of the day made it 9-4. Colin Ray got knocked around a little bit in that start, and the Brewers lost 9-4. Brewers went 3-3. I feel like a lot of times we get to this part of the episode and the Brewers were just 500 or just over 500, which is a good thing, honestly. But they've been pretty consistent. They're holding it down with Colin Ray struggled a little bit in one game and a lot of a bit in another game. Peralta had a bad start. Payamps has been basically bad so far this year. No, obviously, Burns from last year. Woody's out. Williams is still out. And the Brewers still find a way to be 27-19. So
I'm pretty happy with where we're at. I mean, I know I saw a tweet from a large Brewers Twitter account saying he agreed with the haters that Freddie's not an ace. But from what I can remember from Freddie's full pitching seasons is that he's a second half guy anyways. So I'm, as long as he stays in that, 3.5 to 4 ERA range right now, I know he'll finish close to 3 with an ERA. I'm not too worried about him at all. I was going to ask you guys on a scale of 1 to 10, how worried you are about Colin Ray. I mean, I know he wasn't phenomenal last year as a 5, but you're asking a little bit more of him this year, at least on the innings part. But other than that, I mean, I know I just picked up DL Hall again in fantasy. He threw one great inning, I think it was yesterday, and now he's going to go to Nashville. So, the
Yeah,
reinforcements are on the way.
to clarify, we're in a 16-man league, so that doesn't sound out as outrageous as you probably think if you play fantasy at home. But to answer your question on the Colin Ray scale, I don't know what number I'd put on it, but I'm not worried. I don't know. It's Colin Ray. The standard for him is probably what we saw in the first game. It just made it look like he had a lot worse week with that second start.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say is maybe on paper right now he's like our 2 or 3, but in reality we know he's not that, and I don't even think. Well, I won't say the craziest of Brewers fans don't think that, because there definitely are people out there that probably do think that. But in reality, he really just has to pitch 5 or 6 innings and give up 3-ish runs, and we're more than happy. Yeah, if we're really expecting him to be a 2, we're not a playoff team. So,
Exactly.
but yeah, I'm curious. Kind of like you were saying, there's some reinforcements on the way. I know Junis is eventually coming back too, and his role, he might be in the pen, he might be a starter. Similar with Hall, we got a lot of these moving parts. And then today, I know we'll touch on it, but there was also some transactions I think that are gonna affect rotation or bullpen. Curious to see how Blalock's utilized, but all of that combined, and I still don't feel comfortable with our staff where we're at. Right, I think even with all those guys and reinforcements, we got a lot of guys that we can piece together, but you can't really tell me to feel confident in a game other than if Freddie has the ball in his hand, I'm still going to feel confident we can win that game pretty much no matter who we're playing. But any other, I guess, starter or mix up of rotation pieces and whatever, innings eaters, if that's what we want to call it, I'm just not sold yet. And we saw last year the playoffs came around and the D-backs rolled in and with a 2-headed monster kind of, and then fought obviously looked pretty good. And they had some other guys step up, but you really need guys you can count on when it matters, which is in the postseason. So all this regular season success, obviously I'm not going to complain about it, but if the postseason started today, I think we do have some holes. So I guess that kind of relates to your Colin Ray comment, but it's not really a shot at Colin Ray because I think he's doing just what we need him to or expect him to. It's more we just don't have the usual arsenal of what a successful playoff roster has. And I know I just kind of went on a tangent, but that's kind of my key takeaway and still how I feel about this team.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, if if you're looking at Colin Ray as your number 2 or even number 3 in the playoffs, I mean, you're probably not going to go far in the playoffs, unfortunately, no matter how good the offense of the bullpen is. I mean, if he's your number 4 starter, might be a different story. He only needs to make a couple starts in the playoffs. You could piece that together with a good bullpen. But yeah, I certainly think that if we seriously need to compete, we need to see a move made, whatever that may be. Maybe it's just internal. Maybe a couple guys come up from AAA and are more Robert Gassers, and he continues to pitch well. But yeah, that's how I'd answer that question, Kian. Moving right in then to the untouchable pitchers of the week.
You fellas are untouchable. Is that the thing? No one can get to you?
Untouchable. I just wanted to say right away, this is probably a wholesome season answer, but how good has Trevor McGill been? He's kind of emerging as a guy who can close in Devin Williams' absence and Abner Uribe's absence too. So just wanted to give a little full season shout out. I know he's been injured, but 11 games, 11 and 2/3 innings pitched, only 2 earned, 13 Ks and 3 walks. But Cole, who did you have for your untouchable pitcher of the week? I'm sure you got a better answer for this week.
Yeah, it's kind of tough, right? We didn't have a starter go as clean, I guess, as we'd seen, and no shutouts. So I went with someone in the pen, and there were 3 guys this week that actually gave up no runs and pitched real clean outings. Milner and Hudson combined for 5.1. Shutout was 7 Ks across the two. But my untouchable pitcher of the week is going to be Elvis Peguero. He had 3 innings pitched since the last time we talked. 2 holds, 4 Ks, and faced the minimum amount of batters. So that's 3 clean innings. And that's a guy that we're definitely going to be leaning on as the season goes on. We're super valuable piece, as we all know. So I give it to Elvis Peguero. A couple other starters, Gasser, Ross, and Wilson, all pitched pretty well. Wilson went 4 innings, 2/3 with 2 earned. Gasser went 5 with 1 earned, like you talked about, Scoop. And Ross went 5 with 2 earned. And he was actually pretty impressive in his outing, and I might be touching on that later. So save that.
As an Elvis lover myself, it's always nice to hear his name recognized. I picked him, at least looking at Fangraphs and stuff like that this year, to be kind of on regression watch. So it's nice to see him continue to just kind of push through. Him and Payamps, there's been times where they've been in and out of being great, but lately, ever since Payamps came off the bereavement list or whatever it was, I think him and Peguero have both been pretty good over the last couple weeks. Nice stretch they've been on.
Yeah, the bullpen's starting to look kind of how we expected, other than, I know we'll talk about it, but Scoop, he lost maybe his favorite player today. Got designated for assignment, but we'll talk about that later.
All right, and then the hot hitters of the week. Colt?
Stop dropping on fire, Ricky Bobby! I'm on fire! He's so hot right now.
Yeah, so there's a couple, I guess, more obvious candidates this week, and one of them was a top. Actually, I think both were pretty much topics on our last podcast, or last two. One of them was a guy where we were a little confused why he wasn't getting the everyday reps at third base. And the other main candidate was a guy we closed the end of the last podcast kind of talking about how Brewers Twitter was turning on him. And blink, I guess, and 6 games later, those two guys had the best offensive week for the Brewers. So the two, I guess, main candidates are Joey Ortiz and Sal Frelick. Ortiz in the last 6 games had a 1.384 OPS, 22 at-bats, 5 singles, 3 doubles, 2 homers, 7 runs, 4 RBI, 2 walks, and a hit by pitch. Sal, on the other hand, had a 1.2 OPS, 3 singles, a double, 2 homers, 7 runs, 3 RBI, 5 walks, and 2 steals. So both those guys were getting huge things done over the last week. By the numbers, you give it to Ortiz, especially, I guess, because stolen bases are only kind of a batting stat. That's a base running stat, I guess. So I won't give that to Sal as well. So I guess I'll give it to Joey Ortiz. And a couple other shout outs. In 11 plate appearances, Gary almost 1 dotted last week as well. Contreras, per usual, was 9.49 OPS. Bryce Turang greatly helped, I think, by, was it yesterday's game or 2 days ago's game? 900 OPS. Bowers, toe tap Bowers, 2 homers. He had a 829 OPS. And Churio had a 783 OPS too. So all those guys were kind of, I guess, above league average in the last 6 days. And all those guys are names we're going to want to hear doing that, right? Especially Churio. It's good to see him just kind of moving back towards being a major league quality batsman. So those are the nominees. But yeah, this week, Sal and Ortiz definitely showed out, but I'll give it to Joey Ortiz as the hot hitter of the week.
Yeah, really good to see Frelick getting it back, and really good to see Churio. We saw the league adjust against him a little bit, see him start to adjust back a little bit.
All I heard out of that was that first part you said was, we're pretty damn good at our jobs here. Kind of talking about the guys that are about to get hot. So if you're listening, whoever we're going to talk about here in the future, pick up in fantasy or maybe put some bets on them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like you said, Cole, you hit it on the head with all those guys. I know you said Turang, but 8 for 20 in those 6 games. He just continues to be quietly an awesome piece for this team. Really great to see.
Scoop, I hate to jump in front of you here, but
No,
I meant
go
to mention this last pod, and you mentioning it now. When is somebody on Brewers Twitter going to start the whole like Bryce Turang to the All-Star game? Because
I don't know,
his
man.
second
It should
base
be
numbers,
started.
I mean, there's no reason he shouldn't be the starter right now, in my opinion, in the National League. So I don't know if it's up to, the bright mind of Cole over there to think of something creative of a hashtag maybe to get the get everything going for Bryce Turang to the All-Star game, but I'd
What do you
love
mean?
to see it.
You started Rake Perkins, right?
Hell yeah.
And look what happened.
I
He's
know.
no longer raking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but Rake Bowers, you also unintentionally started as well, and he's starting to rake, so you're good.
Well, don't jinx it now. All right. Don't give me credit for that one because I want to see him keep going.
Yeah, I don't know if it's too early to start the All-Star talk, but you look around the Brewers lineup, and we got a couple A1 candidates for All-Star nods.
Good time to mention that Contreras is still hitting 341 and on pace for 130 RBI. So, I mean, that dude, they talked about how I think I mentioned last episode, they talked about how the hitting coach basically said, hey, man, why don't you try to hit for average a little more instead of trying to hit for power, and you're still going to hit for power. And boom, he's hitting 341, and he's still just peppering baseballs into the stands off the wall. So awesome to see that. Cole, do you have anything specific for us for the Statcast portion of the show?
Yeah, I kind of alluded to it prior, but I was going to talk a little bit about, I think it was Tuesday's game that Ross started, where Joe Ross, who isn't, at least to date this year, hasn't really been a huge K guy or anything, but in his 5 innings, he had 6 Ks. But to get those 6 Ks in just 5 innings, he had 21 whiffs, which is a huge number for 5 innings pitched. And then he handed the ball to Brian Hudson, who in his 2 innings, he had 4 whiffs, 11 called strikes plus whiffs. Elvis Peguero had 4 whiffs, and then Trevor McGill also had 7 whiffs. So when you combine the 9 innings of those Brewers pitchers, we had 36 whiffs across the 4 guys there. And those 36 whiffs came on 81 swings, which is a whiff percentage of 44.4%, which is a bit above league average this year, which is 25.2%. So that game, I don't know, maybe we had a little of the sunscreen rosin going on or something, because we were dicing guys up. So, and that it's kind of interesting too, because on the year, the Brewers are actually 7th lowest in whiff percentage, which makes sense, I guess, when you look at our rotation. Other than Freddie, we haven't really been strikeout getters. We've been more bat to ball approach, which is fine, especially considering our lineup. But yeah, we had, I believe it's the most whiffs this year in a game, those 36 whiffs combined from our pitchers on, I believe, like I said, it was Tuesday. So we were a spectacle for pitching, kind of out of nowhere. And there were some runs given up in that game, obviously. But we got the win, and yeah, just kind of interesting. I'm curious to see if Ross can keep this up, because he's a guy that we've talked about almost every start, where maybe he's starting to look a little more comfortable after that long layoff from injury. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, Ross has been a nice little surprise.
Surprise for
agree.
you.
Yeah, you knew. I mean,
I'm just kidding.
the greatest guy ever. But I love Joe Ross. I mean, I thought of him coming in as like, oh, great, here's another Colin Ray, and he sort of is.
I
But
would
right
change
now,
your tone on that. How about,
Yeah,
oh, great,
geez.
another Colin Ray? Like,
well,
that's
that's
a
what I
good
was
thing.
thinking.
That's
And
what we
then
need.
he kind of is kind of like, well, I'm completely fine with that. Just a guy who can eat innings, a guy who's been around. I mean, Robert Gasser, obviously, every start, you can't expect him to go out there and dominate how he has, but you can't expect Joe Ross to go, 5 innings and give up 2 runs. And with our offense the way it is now, I'm completely okay with that. So sorry about my tone, but I am very happy with how Joe Ross has come around this year so far.
Yeah, he's definitely a solid middle to back of the rotation. But it's just, I mean, when you look at that, after Ross hands the ball off, it's Hudson, who's been elite, Elvis, who's been for the last year and a fourth now, elite, and McGill, who we just started hyping up earlier. That's 4 guys, and across them, like I said, the most swings and misses that have been seen in an MLB game, well, at least a 9-inning game so far this year. So awesome to see. And Yeah.
Yeah, so if we take a look at the standings, I know I said the Brewers are 27-19. They got a 2-game lead on the Cubs. Everyone else in the division is at least 6 games back. Looking at the rest of the NL, Philly is 5.5 ahead of Atlanta in the East, and the Dodgers are 7 games ahead of the Padres in the West. The AL races are all a little bit closer than those East and West in the NL. Yankees in Baltimore in the East, Cleveland and KC in the Central, and Seattle and Texas in the West are all within 2 games of each other in their divisions.
Just to touch on that a little bit, the Phillies being 5.5 games of the Braves. I think I saw a stat from Codify on the old X. It said that the Phillies have played 3 games against teams who are above 500 so far.
Yeah, I did see that.
That is astonishing. I mean, you have to win the games of whoever you're playing against, and it's not like their division is
Hey,
horrible. And
As a Brewers fan, you should know it's not always that easy to beat the bad teams.
I did see somebody. I think it was Brew Pats and Brewskis. Maybe they were talking about how this is a series that the Brewers usually struggle with. Getting swept by the A's last year, just kind of bottom dwellers, just kind of kicking our ass, playing down to our opponents. So I hope that doesn't happen again. But still, man, those Phillies and Kansas City too. I mean, you got to give props to the small markets of the world, obviously with us. So I'm happy to see them, and I've always been a Bryce Harper fan. So good for the Phils.
I was gonna say, kind of talking about the division itself, is the NL Central is kind of almost every team is a pretty major MLB storyline. I feel like at this point of the year, the Cubs obviously have Imanaga, who has a 8.4 ERA, a 9.1 WHIP, 58 Ks in his 9 starts, 53.2 innings pitched. So at this point, he's got a sample size, and he's been arguably the best pitcher in baseball, and pretty obvious. Well, I can't even say a shoe-in for NL Rookie of the Year because Yamamoto has been pretty freaking good other than his first start too. So that'll be a battle probably between those guys. But there's that storyline. Obviously, the Pirates have had a special certain somebody start 2 games for him now in Skeens, and everyone was not wowed by that first start. And I don't know if you guys kept track of the last game. I was working very hard for my 8 to 5 desk job, but I might have accidentally glanced and seen a little bit of that outing, and he had 11 Ks in 6 innings. I think he struck out his first 5.
First
7?
First 7. And the only reason he wasn't perfect was because I watched. The only reason he wasn't perfect was because on a 2-2 pitch, he
I
got
saw that.
Screwed on a call and then ended up walking him on the following pitch. But he should have won 6 perfect instead of just 6 no hit with 11 Ks.
Yeah.
But yeah, first 7 he struck out against a team that he also faced in his first.
Yeah. So they would know.
The same lineup.
Yep. I think one kind of relating to Skeens and just a lot of the way that the league's move now is maybe I'm wrong and I can look into it a little bit more, but it seems like a lot of the younger guys are used to seeing this much heat, and I think they're going to perform a little bit better against these kind of insane velos where, well, self-explanatorily too, obviously as guys get older, maybe they don't have that same quickness as they did 10 years ago, but it seems like younger guys are just used to a little more used to the velocity. So I'm curious if that's going to be a trend as we see more of these youthful arms pumping triple digits. But yeah, so those are the storylines for the Cubs and the Pirates. And then the Cardinals, I think the obvious storyline is kind of an end to an era. Obviously, one example is Goldschmidt still is only hitting 214, and I don't really think there's huge signs that that's going to 360 and he's going to be the MVP caliber we're all used to. But just how they choose to rebuild or retool with that aging roster is a pretty big storyline. And then the Reds, obviously their lineups kind of underperformed, but Ellie De La Cruz already has 30 steals, and there's already rumblings of triple-digit steal season out of Ellie De La Cruz. So you could see pretty major storylines on every team in our division. And I didn't even mention the Brewers. And as we know, we have a full weekly podcast about the storylines that the Brewers generate. So pretty cool stuff out of the NL Central, especially after people kind of, I don't want to say we're bashing the NL Central in the offseason, but everyone acted like it was a pushover division. And I think so far everyone's at least pulled their weight. So except the Cardinals, they suck.
Yeah, no, the NL Central this year is actually quite interesting. Obviously, if you kind of pay attention, the both Central, AL, and NL are pretty much the most forgotten divisions in the league because they're not on a coast. But I'd say that each Central divisions are the most, at least for me, exciting to watch. I mean, the Kansas City Royals, the Twins, the Guardians, just how good and bad the Tigers can be as well is something that's quite interesting to me. And then obviously the downfall of the Cardinals, like you said, Ellie De La Cruz and everything else that's been going on. The White Sox being absolutely horrible, but actually playing well in their last 10 so far. So that whole division as a whole is really interesting. And they're doing it without, Luis Robert. So would love to see my favorite AL team in the Chi Sox come back, but I don't think they will. But that's
No,
just
not this year.
it's just it's still nice to see, the AL Central and the NL Central get the kind of the recognition that the coast divisions usually do.
Cole, do you have a favorite AL team? I know Kian, you just said White Sox. I'm curious. Oh, there's his White Sox mug right there. All right.
Well, it used to be the Astros when they first moved. Then they got too good. You always have to root for a team that's not.
Yeah.
Yours was the
very good.
Astros?
It used to be, yeah.
I honestly, I was kind of indifferent. They had cool uniforms. But when the scandal came around,
Yeah.
like many
Yeah.
fans, I
still root
pretty
for the
out on them.
Astros. I mean, the whole
Yeah.
scandal, yeah, I get it, but I mean,
I still think Bregman's kind of a douche, but other than that,
I do too.
I
like Alex Bregman.
See,
I don't
I
don't
is-
Brewers.
I don't
I thought he was a
dislike him
douche
really.
too. But isn't like
just-
Murphy kind of like
Yeah,
They're
they do.
boys.
yeah. Well, I wanted to say boys, but they have like a 40-year
Nah, they're
age
boys.
gap, so I don't know if they're
They're
boys.
I guess
but they got a relationship
I'll say he handled the cheating scandal a little.
poorly. Sort of
Well,
Verlander
It's
did.
more what I'm
though.
saying, but
I mean,
I'm over it.
Mm.
I don't know. I respect the greatness of the organization. Obviously, 1 year at least with a little caveat, but they're always fun to watch for sure. And obviously, my boy Hader is there. But I always grew up big Red Sox fan, like in the AL. So I
That's
think
interesting.
it's going back to the MVP baseball in 2005. That was the prime Manny Ramirez, David Ortiz era, and I just love both those dudes. So I don't know. I still like the Red Sox. I got family in Tampa now, so I like to pull for the Rays a little bit, but I guess I'm a little bit of a free agent in the AL now.
And I'll say this: I agree with you on the whole cheating scandal as a put off, but when they hired Dusty Baker,
Yeah,
I was always rooting for them. I'm a huge Dusty Baker guy.
Yeah.
I love that guy. So I was always rooting for him. Really sad he's out of the game now, but he got his ship. So
yeah.
whatever.
I'd say I had like a couple of Red Sox shirts and stuff too. It's just obviously being in Milwaukee, it's a very different brand when you're the Red
Mhm.
Sox, right? That's kind of one of the main handful of markets. But a team that wasn't really great when we were younger, but is pretty cool now is the O's. It'd be
Yeah.
kind of bandwagony, but that's kind of the whole point of a second favorite team, right? So
JJ Hardy back in the day.
Yeah,
I used
that's
to
true.
watch all those games
yep.
condensed on YouTube.
Adam Jones back in the day was pretty sick.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say another thing is about the having a favorite AL and NL team. My dad used to root for the Cubs when the Brewers were in the AL
All right,
Huh.
your dad's a coward. I'm just
That's
because they
funny.
were on
Yeah.
WGN
Yep,
all the time. Like they were just
Oh.
on TV. He's like, yeah, no, I would root for the Cubs just as much as I would root for the Brewers.
I mean, that's
Just
kind of
as
like the White
much.
Sox.
But
Yeah.
hey, you got to understand, they weren't a rival. They never played. Like they were just on TV all the time. Changing divisions can change fan bases quickly.
Well, it's even like the Stros, but they sucked our whole childhood when they were
Yeah,
in
they
the
did.
Central. So it's like you felt bad for them, and then luckily they
I
weren't the
remember-
powerhouse they turned into.
I remember being like 13 and my dad was like, yeah, no, the Astros weren't always bad. They went to the World Series like not even 10 years ago. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, they won it. And I was like,
Yeah.
no.
Because
I
of
was it was like I was shell shocked.
I guess like their involvement in our division and then our age. Miguel Tejada's just chalked in my brain as an Astro, which is just kind of funny. I mean, he was good there, but played
That's
a lot
Michael
of places.
Bourne and Hunter Pence for me.
Michael Bourne was awesome.
I remember watching the Brewers and Hunter Pence running off the field because he had just got traded at the deadline. I think it was to the Phillies.
I
at
don't
the
like
time.
Hunter Pence. He stinks.
He's got a weird stance, man. I like him.
He's just a weird guy.
I agree.
Anyways.
That's why I like him. Used to follow him on Instagram.
Oh wow, you used to.
Yeah.
Can
Started
we
posting too
rekindle
much.
this somehow?
Yeah.
Hey, if he wants to come on the Brew Crew Scoop, I'll follow him till the day I die.
Yeah.
All right, well, the Hunter Pence segment is over, so we'll move into the injuries and transactions portion for the Brewers. Just today, they made a couple moves. Joey Wiemer was reinstated with that knee injury. Chris Roller was optioned. Our sweet, sweet prince, Thyago Vieira, Thyago Splitter, was
Thyago
DFA'd.
Splitter. He better stay in the org.
For Bradley Blalock, recalled from Double-A Biloxi. You don't see that too often. Happens sometimes with pitchers, obviously, but this is a guy we got in the Luis Arias trade, and he's been pitching really well in the minors. So curious to see what that means. He obviously skips over AAA for us, and probably a guy that we see optioned and brought back up a couple times this year now. But he's been a pleasant surprise. It makes me feel better about trading away Reese Olson for half a season of Daniel Norris or whatever it was.
But he lived in a van.
That we got something out of Luis Arias.
Yeah.
Fun fact about Bradley Blalock is that he was born 5 days after me, and that made me feel incredibly old about 40 minutes ago when I looked that up. So good for him.
How do you think
Did
I
you look
feel?
up his birthday, or did you look up?
No,
like,
I was
his
just looking at
stats?
his stats, like on the MILB.com, and I was like, damn, 12/25, 2000.
When you were looking at those stats,
tough.
did you notice his first 3 outings this year were scoreless in Double-A?
I did
That's
not.
pretty dope. Well,
That's
they
about as
were.
far as I got, and then I got really sad. So
Yeah.
I stopped
No, I'm
looking.
curious because he's pretty much he's only started this year in Double-A. So I'm curious if we use him as a starter, like long reliever, but he sits like mid-90s with a fastball with some good ride, and then he has a curve and a slider and a splitter. So he's got a 4-pitch mix, which makes you think he's got a chance to start, but I don't really know. Just because our rotation is, we have 5 guys right now, and Wilson's been so good in that role, you almost don't want to push him out of it. So really curious to see what Blalock looks like in the majors, but we'll see.
Are
Very
you
interesting.
surprised at all that they didn't bring up Carlos F. Rodriguez after he's made 3 straight really strong starts? That kind of makes
Yeah.
me think they're going to use him in the pen a little bit. But, I mean, if you really were looking for innings, wouldn't you go with a guy who's a little more major league ready as a starter? I mean, tell me I'm wrong if I am.
Can't tell you you're wrong, Kian.
I honestly don't know the reasoning. Like I can't. My guess is as good as yours. Who knows?
Quite interesting then.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we just found out that Joe Ross left his start 1 inning in with a back injury. So we'll see what comes of that. But we just talked about that rotation being thin and needing to make a move. It's getting more urgent as the days go on. So we will see.
I don't know about making a move. The moves are within, in my opinion. I mean, just how we talked about.
You probably need
really
at least one.
Do you really think the
external move.
moves are within if we're gonna compete for a World Series?
I mean, we're talking about this in May. If this is the same stuff going on in July, it'd be a little different.
Even in July, whatever, in August, fast forward, if all of our pitchers on the roster are healthy, do you really feel confident about our odds going into the playoffs?
Well, compared to what we would have to probably give up to get a controllable starter, it becomes one of the things where you just kind of have to balance how much do you believe in what you've grown compared to what you believe in what you're getting. I don't know. I haven't done any research on what the arms are that are out there right now that potentially could be,
Well, I think we're going to see one of them tomorrow, is it? Is tomorrow Luzardo? Tomorrow's Rogers. Either way, I think there's guys out there that are available, and we have some talent, obviously, in the org with arms, but in the next year to 2, I don't see them being game 2 playoff winning starters.
Oh, dude, I just watched 063 Andrew Monasterio and 118 batting average Owen Miller come to the plate. Oof.
Leave Andrew alone. He's
and now Wiemer's up to save the day. I'm just kidding. I like all those guys. It's just 3 bad spots in the lineup back to back after losing a pitcher. Oof. But
I'm sorry, but Andrew Monasterio has to be a fan favorite. I mean, I always root for him.
Yeah, he's
dope. I mean, yeah, I always
Owen
root for all of them.
I would say even Owen Miller more or less than Andre Monasterio, just because Owen Miller blows. At least Andre Monasterio has, like, as the kids say these days, aura. I mean,
Yeah,
the
that's what the kids
glasses,
say.
And the
the
kids.
kid. I mean, I don't even know what that really means, but to sound cool at least, aura.
All right, around the farm. Cole, is it around the farm or down on the farm? It's around the farm, right? That's what your graphic said. I'm pretty sure
You
it was
can
around
call
the
it whatever we want to call
just
it.
wondering.
The
I just wanna
intro is
be
the
correct.
those meddling kids from
All right.
Scooby Doo. So whatever you want to call it, we're talking about the kids, as Kian would say. So let's talk about some guys with some. What is it, Kian? Aura.
Some aura.
Around the farm, we have
If it hadn't been for those meddling kids. If it hadn't been for you meddling kids. Ah, meddling kids. If it hadn't been for these meddling laddies.
Tyler Woessner. He had another great start in AAA.
Every time you say his name,
I don't
say
know
it
how to
three
say it yet.
ways.
I can't commit either way. He had another great start in AAA, 6 innings pitched with 9 Ks, only 1 run. On the flip side of that, Aaron Ashby continues to struggle in AAA.
He's cooked.
That is looking like, I mean, we didn't give him that much money, but that's looking like a waste of money.
A dear friend of mine who does follow the Brewers closely, when Ashby was called on early in the year, he was like, "You just watch. Ashby will keep his spot in the rotation, and he'll be good throughout the year." And I was like, I hope. He had some decent, even with the velocity loss, there was a couple of things with some of his movement still on, like his slider and some of that stuff that I think people were hoping on. But yeah, there's currently that the hope is pretty low. So
Yeah, I agree. The whole like off season, I was, jerking off Aaron Ashby. I thought he was really coming back. I thought, the injuries weren't going to be an issue anymore. I thought even without the velocity, his 2-seam slider action, like you said, is just gorgeous. And, he just doesn't have it. I don't know if the injuries are still there. I know guys usually don't come back from shoulder stuff nearly as well as they do elbow stuff. So maybe that's the case, but I feel for him, but I feel like that's either going to be a salary dump in the offseason, kind of Adrian Hauser, give him to a big market team that thinks they can fix him, or that'll be a DFA whenever they do make a deadline move and need a 40-man spot.
One more thing from around the farm, not really a prospect anymore, as he has his spot on the major league team when healthy. But DL Hall was 94-95 in a bullpen, and then he had a short little rehab outing in Appleton. So we wonder if both those things mean maybe he comes back in the bullpen was the initial thought, but obviously, like we said, Ross just got hurt. So probably unlikely now, but hopefully we see DL Hall back soon. That's a guy who struggled a little bit, but I still have fairly high hopes for.
yeah, they had on their like what Brewers inspired uniforms, right? The City Connect kind of looking ones.
The microbrewers?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Just to kind of build off the whole DL Hall thing. Again, I see on Twitter and kind of how you just mentioned, like, is he going to be in the pen? Is he going to be on the mound? I mean, I don't know why you would start him on the mound, and then you kind of how Murph said and how he even said, it's hard to throw when your knee's all screwed up, hard to throw hard for long periods of time. So I think it would be weird to see him just kind of shift to the pen this early. I think you still give him some time to come back and actually throw off the mound as a starter, healthy. But I don't know. I've seen weirder things. I could see him just being shifted to the pen if somebody really breaks out here before he comes back.
Yeah, well, we just lost a starter before he comes back, so that might help.
That it should help.
Random game in Brewers history.
Random.
This is one that came up. Had a buddy text me and said, "Hey, this is super random, but it's a very niche Brewers thing. You seem like the guy to bring it up to. So look at this box score from 2011." So I looked at it. August 12th, 2011, K-Rod hit in the 8th inning with a 7-2 lead. I'm not really sure what the reason was there, but doesn't really have any tie into what's going on right now. But like I said, that's why it was fresh in the brain. He hits a ground ball to first base and then gets hurt beating it out to first with an infield single, hurts his leg. and gets pulled from the game. So Ron Renicky trying to be smart, having K-Rod go hit up 7-2 in the bottom of the 8th, and he gets a knock and gets injured and gets pulled. So
Do you have any more
I don't know.
details from the game?
Yeah, I was
they,
gonna say
they won 7-2. They won.
Oh, that was the final. Why would that happen?
I think that was exactly why I was texted about it. Good question.
I'm curious to see if that was the same series where Braun came off the bench and hit a go-ahead home run in the top of the 9th. That sounds about right. You only go to Miami once. I know it was 2011. He comes off the bench and hits a go-ahead home run. It's probably either the day before or the day after that.
Didn't
would
Braun
love to
take
know
a
that
couple
answer.
extra trips to Miami for like some
I don't know. He said he was. I
No,
don't
they
know if he
mailed
was
it.
like.
It was Sean Markham.
Yeah, I was gonna say Sean Markham hand delivered it to him according to
gotcha.
delivery address.
If you were wondering,
though.
Cam Lowe came in and got the save. So Greinke went.
Hello.
Here's your answer. Greinke went 7 2/3. K-Rod came in and got the 3rd out in the 8th.
What was the date?
No
of that?
double switch. No double switch, Ron. What are we doing? What'd you say,
It
It was
Kian?
August what? August 11th.
August 12th, 2011.
All right, I'm gonna find out if this Ryan Braun game is close to that.
And then
Halo was the man. Sorry, but he was pretty clutch for a couple of years.
Wasn't he the last Brewer to wear 50?
Yeah, I think so. Kian, as long as you're looking, the next day,
The Brewers beat the Pirates 7-2.
Zack Greinke, after pitching, pinch hit for Marco Estrada, pinch hit for starter Marco Estrada, and then
Wait, hold on. What was the date of this? What year?
August 12th, 2011.
I've got August 12th, 2011 as. Oh, did you say Pirates? I thought you
Holy
said
shit!
Marlins.
All right,
My bad.
you do your research while we move into
Yeah,
the next
no,
segment,
it
and
doesn't
keep us
matter.
filled
I
in.
thought you were talking about the Marlins. No,
Just
it's
going
the Pirates.
around the small MLB news. Only minor thing I had was David Fletcher, who was on the Angels previously, who's also good friends with Ohtani, was caught betting to the same bookmaker. Kind of interesting that Ohtani's teammate, best friend, and his interpreter were both betting to this bookmaker. I'd love to continue to think that Ohtani is innocent, but a little strange. Hopefully it stays that way because that'd be a real bummer for baseball.
Yeah, Ohtani's super good at baseball, and there's still did Fletcher that on baseball?
I
So
thought I
far,
saw
the
that
other
he
dude-
did.
Oh, then
But those
That
were
I
just
cannot
reports
confirm.
on X, so I would not take those with 100% guarantee.
I don't know if you guys have anything else from around MLB, but nothing.
I
really
mean, to
too
kind of
crazy.
add on to that David Fletcher thing, it's kind of funny because about a week or two ago, he kind of became a huge sensation on Twitter for throwing knuckleballs.
In the minor leagues, yeah.
Yeah, in the minor leagues, and everyone was kind of hyping him up, and now this news comes out not even it feels like I was just looking at it yesterday.
You either die a hero or you live long enough.
He was literally like a folk hero, like, oh, he's gonna come back and throw knuckleballs. And also, did you know he's still making a ton of money from his Angels contract? Like he got
Didn't know
DFA'd,
that, but
yeah, he's still making a ton of money.
that sounds very Angels-y.
Yeah, it's not very smart by them, but by the book.
I know the Mets demoted temporarily Diaz, right? Did you see that? Trumpets won't be playing for a little bit.
Not demoted him to the minor leagues, right?
No,
just
in his
taking
role.
him out of his closer spot. Yeah,
But that's kind of interesting because for a while everyone said that's why they weren't World Series contenders last year, is because they lost Diaz to start the year, and now his trumpets aren't playing.
All right, to put a bow on the whole David Fletcher situation, he signed a 5-year, $26 million extension in 2021 with the Angels. So he will be there he will at least be being paid by them until 2026, where he has a $1.5 million buyout. So that's this year and next year.
That's not the worst contract the Angels have ever given.
That is true.
So he was DFA, but was he? It doesn't really matter. But if he was like claimed by the Braves, then that's
I don't think he was.
I don't think he was.
I don't think he was.
Gotcha.
As he wouldn't, at least not as a knuckleballer. I think he was signed as free agent. And then I think he was DFA'd, released, signed.
Do you want to also? I watched the Sunday night game yesterday, and Yu Darvish, who I've been a fan of for a long time, other than when he was a Cub, obviously despised him at that time, but otherwise been a fan of him. He has like I think it's 25 consecutive scoreless innings, and that's the most for a Japanese-born pitcher. Which Japanese-born pitcher is kind of the hot topic in the MLB these days. So pretty cool, and he's like 37 or 8 years old, so still getting it done. And just yeah, I don't know, he's a super fun pitcher to watch. He throws so much stuff, controls it all well. But yeah, just wanted to give him and the Padres a shout out. Their lineup's just crazy to look at. I think we talked about it the other day. Their infield, when you just look at the guys available to them, if you're playing like a video game, it's nuts the amount of talent they have. And the reincarnated Tony Gwynn joining the team.
Yeah. Right.
Another thing from that game is I saw on X that Bryce Elder.
He's really good.
He's finally coming back to
to what his baseball savant page shows.
Yeah. Everybody last year, all the old heads were claiming that, Statcast is dead because Bryce Elder was leading the league in ERA or whatever, but now his ERA is over 6, I believe. So, it sucks that it does kind of take some of the fun out when you see a lot of the blue. And a guy's doing well, at least with his ERA and whatever. It's kind of clear that, the large ERA is going to rear its head in the future, which kind of sucks. But
yes, but Turang's hitting page last year was all light blue, and now look at him. So,
but he switched basically everything.
Pitchers
he
can
switch
stuff.
Philosophy. He switched his bat.
I'm just trying to be positive, Kian.
But hey man, fuck the Braves. Bryce Elder. I just thought it was funny that a lot of people are bringing back old tweets about saying that Statcast was dead from like May of last year, and just how a year can change things. Yeah, Bryce Turang is the complete opposite of that. You can change and be better. Bryce Elder just didn't change and actually started to be unlucky.
Yeah, I do want
to. With the bad savant page, Ryan Weathers is carving us up right now.
That's early.
I'm not surprised at all.
I was gonna shout out. I remember when Pat Murphy said that Turang was gonna. What did he say? He's gonna make a
quantum leap
jump or something. Quantum leap. And I was like, okay, what a player's coach here hyping up Bryce Turang right now.
Boy, did he know.
You blink and Kian's starting the Bryce Turang all-star second baseman tour right now.
You can never start it too early. Can you vote like all year, or does it? Scoop, you would know. You're wearing the all-star hat.
They'll start it probably.
They'll start it.
Like you're the podcast all-star expert with your all-star hat.
The Devin Williams all-star jersey. He's got.
I absolutely love the all-star game. The voting, everything
Scoop
about
loves
it.
that they don't wear their. Scoop loves that they don't wear their uniforms anymore.
No, that used to be my favorite part of going to like
to bring those damn real.
The real uniforms are long gone, buddy. No, you have to say Fanatics. If people are playing the Brew Crew Scoop drinking game at home where they have to take a shot every time Scoop says something about Fanatics, you do it right now.
Fanatics can kiss my ass. They need to bring back the regular uniforms, and they need to wear them in the All-Star game.
Yeah. Good luck, buddy. Not in today's game.
I was trying to look to see how, just fantasy-wise with Turang. In the NL, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Turang has the 5th most NL fantasy points as for second baseman eligible players. Betts is one of them.
ESPN scoring for those of you
ESPN scoring. Betts is one of them, and he's a shortstop. So, but also Turang brings the glove. I was just curious because I haven't really followed along too much to the other second baseman in the NL, but Bryson Stott, Tel Marte, and Jake Cronenworth are having good seasons.
It's pretty interesting when you talk about Turang. I just thought of this, but obviously Adames is a question mark for next year, right? Probably not around, no, but everyone just assumes that's Joey Ortiz's role, blah, blah, blah. And obviously Turang's been elite at second, but the original thought was he was a shortstop. And it's kind of interesting that's at least personally, it hasn't even entered my mind that Bryce Turang could be a solution or the solution at short. And it's just interesting when you consider that's what he was thought of. And you got to think he's capable of playing it the way he plays second base. So just something to put on the back burner.
Likely. I think it's more likely they slide Turang over to short and slide Ortiz over to second.
Really?
I don't know. I just think Turang. I mean, unless he goes over there and starts sucking, his glove is just so good.
He's no Gavin Lux, okay?
Yeah.
In
True.
my opinion, when the Brewers sign Alex Bregman this winter, they'll just kind of move Jory Ortiz over to short, and then
Yeah.
Bryce
Right.
Turang will just continue to win perennial Gold Gloves at second base.
I'm gonna have to edit that out now, Kian. You started
I
talking
only said that
stupid.
because you guys just were talking shit about Alex Bregman earlier, as if you wouldn't love him if he was a Milwaukee Brewer.
Yeah, well, he's not, so I don't.
Not yet. Not yet. When that Reese
Right.
Hoskins contract comes off the books, when he declines his option.
Hey, did
Alex
we even
Bregman.
mention Reese's hammy? Not that Brewers fans don't know, but
I don't know if we did last week.
what'd they say, 2 to 4 weeks?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
It'll
it sounds
probably be
minor
3
at
to
least,
6.
so that's good.
luckily toe tapping Jake Bowers is ready for the job.
Hey, how's my volume sound today? I just was looking at my knob and I saw it was lower than normal. Do
Are
I
you
sound
rubbing your
good?
knob?
No, I can adjust it if I need to, but I
I'll
just thought
get
it was
your
way
knob.
down. Is it good? Does that sound good?
Yeah, you sound pretty good.
All right, cool.
No, you sound fine. I'm glad your knob's in the right spot.
Thank you. Yeah, upcoming schedule for the Crew. They start 3 in Miami tonight, and then they got the day off, and they head to Fenway for 3 in Boston, and then come back home for Memorial Day, the return of Ass Council.
Are you
in
guys going
Milwaukee.
Memorial Day?
You bet your sweet ass. You're gonna hear some a boo from me. You'll hear me.
Yeah, I'm pissed as fuck that I can't go. Just like that first game in Wrigley where you went. You guys are fortunate
Mm-hmm.
that God has put you in this position to go to these games.
Oh yeah. All right, and then my beer of the week. Good City Home Lager.
Are you ever gonna drink beer again during the podcast? Or you're just gonna talk about it?
We've always been doing Monday nights, and it's not great for me. It's already hard enough for me to get up and work out on Tuesdays.
So you can't have
Are you
a beer.
What's the
slut shaming me for
what's
having
the
old
point- what's the
fashions and
point of
beers on
drinking
Mondays
one?
right now?
What's the point of drinking one?
I mean, I've had
Sorry.
4 old fashions and 2 beers.
That boy, you're a college student still. All right,
True.
man, you're making this shit really unclippable for Twitter. Damn it. Let me start over. All right. Beer of the week.
I'll have a brewski, Charlie.
Oh, yeah. I've been known to drink a beer or two.
It's the Good City Home Lager, Good City Brewing out of Milwaukee. It's baseball themed, obviously, in the name. It's nothing crazy. It's just a great, refreshing lager, but I gave it about a 9 out of 10. That's how good it is, even just for a fairly plain lager. Very good. Good City Home Lager.
We're gonna have to start tracking your ratings because I don't know if I've heard one below an 8 yet.
Well, I have about 300 rated already. What makes you think I'm going to drop down low? I'm trying to shout it out for the people.
I've got a beer of the week. If you mind me stepping on your toes here.
No, yeah, whatever, dude. Whatever you want.
Miller 64 brought
yeah.
to you by Kian.
Yeah.
No,
Miller
this is
64 Light.
one of my father's favorites, so shout out to him. I already told him we talked about him, so
He's
he'll
a
be
Cubs
listening.
fan, right?
Yes, he is the Cubs fan. This is a
Blatz.
Blatz,
Nice.
a Blatz beer. It's established in Milwaukee, 1851. It tastes just like any other light beer. So if you like light beer, give it a shot. It's delicious and it makes you feel cool around old people.
I would call it Blatz Schlitz's ugly cousin, but it is still a decent beer. You can get it for $3-4 a pop at most local establishments that do offer
a 20-pack for a 20-pack of bottles for around like $12.99 if you go to the right spot.
Can't believe they're giving away gold that cheap these days, Coach Kian.
I know. Can you believe it? Not like that IPA stuff that old Scoopy likes
Scoop
over there,
loves.
but sorry, I just like getting fat, but
We got
You said it's a light beer. IPA. Sorry.
well, when you drink 30 of them.
We got to get close to wrapping this up because Ryan Weathers and Cy Koenig over here are cruising through this game. We're almost through 4 already. It's only been, well, I guess it started at 50
Luckily,
minutes.
we haven't missed anything.
Yeah, right. My only final thought is Zack Greinke is getting in shape, seeing if the arm works down at the Diamondbacks spring training facility. I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate seeing him get his 3,000th in a Brewers uniform, 3,000th strikeout.
Yeah, I saw this come across my timeline today too, and actually I read the article there. not just a headline like Kian likes to do. But yeah, Greinke 21 shy of 3K. He actually faced Perdomo, Alec Thomas, Jordan Lawler, and Jorge Barosa. And out of that, obviously, a couple of those are pretty legit MLB talent. And the hardest batted ball he gave up was a grounder, and he struck out 2 of them. He faced each batter twice, so 8 at bats out of MLB caliber-ish talent, and really didn't give up anything bad. Perdomo, I have some quotes from their article. Forgot about it actually. But Perdomo said, I told one of the guys I think he could still pitch in the majors. I told Greinke he should come back out and keep throwing. For his changeup to look like that in his first live BP, just imagine when he gets into rhythm. I think that's a bit of a stretch. But yeah, he said that. And Greinke himself said his arm feels decent. He was trying to get as good as he could at golfing in the past 2 months. And then he said, why am I trying to be good at golf when I'm already a professional baseball player? So that inspired him, I guess, to throw a bit. But he said he's still not really sure. And apparently his agent has not been talking to teams yet about signing, which I thought was kind of interesting. But and one other kind of fun thing at the bottom, which I think probably helps his odds of coming back. Greinke he must live in Arizona. But he was at Chase Field when the Dodgers were in town 2 weeks ago. And he said his kids were urging him to take them to the game because their baseball interest is nonstop right now. So apparently after he tossed his BP, he threw some BP to his kids. So it seems like he probably would want his kids around the game. And I know he seemed like he enjoyed his time in Milwaukee. It's kind of hard to tell with Zack Greinke because he's Zack Greinke, but I love that guy. Yeah.
I was going to say it is Zack Greinke, though. So, being close to 3,000 strikeouts and his kids wanting him to do it, he might not give a shit. He'd be like, I don't care that I'm 21 strikeouts away. I want to. He might come back as a shortstop. Who knows?
Dude, I was gonna say we got to get him back. Let him throw bat to ball. Be Colin Ray 2.0 because Kian loves Colin Ray. And we'll have 2 guys.
I do like Colin Ray.
Well, you need to learn how to express what you mean because
Ian,
that's not what it sounded like.
Screw up your words ever again, or you'll hear about it from Cole for about a decade.
That is true.
All right?
This is
I
literally
heard about it from both of you.
Literally recorded.
Don't claim innocence there.
I just threw out a "It's time" Zack Greinke tweet.
Let's go.
It's doing well in 1 minute. It's got 4 reposts and 8 likes in about 60 seconds. 9 likes.
The thing with Greinke is, I mean, he's really probably not what we need, right? We were just talking about how we need a game 2 playoff starter. But I love Zack Greinke. No, I would be more than happy to have him here. And honestly, our defense is still pretty good. So we can allow the bat to ball that Greinke would give up. And I was going to say before you said it, Scoop, maybe we lock up a playoff spot. We got 1 game left in the year and Zack Greinke checks in at shortstop. That would be, that'd be awesome. Murphy would do it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know what else you guys got for final thoughts, but that's all I had.
I just have one more thing, and
Is it go Cats go?
No, love the Cats though. I know some of them listen, so shout out you guys.
Go Cats.
But one last thing for me is the absolute renaissance of Tommy Pham. He basically
with no spring training.
I saw him and Mike Cameron go into it on Twitter one time about how they thought it was outrageous that Tommy Pham didn't have a job. And to be honest, I agreed with them. And now he's batting .314. He's got 10 RBIs. He's got a 5-14 walk to strikeout ratio, which isn't great, but still 27 hits in 22 games played. So shout out to him. We see a lot of older players get squeezed out of the league for the younger guys. So it's nice to see kind of one of my childhood, obviously inter-division guys still be around.
Yeah, my closer was actually going to be the Greinke discussion. As you can tell, I came prepared. But what you were just talking about, Kian, actually something that has kind of been pissing me off lately. And it's not the fact that the White Sox signed Tommy Pham and gave him a chance, but the White Sox signed Clevenger and Pham after they were already clearly not going to be good and gave those 2 guys a chance. And I think there's a very high chance that some team comes around in 2 months and gives up prospects for one or both of those guys. And I just don't get what, I mean, I know some circumstances might change, but if you're a team that needs an outfielder at all, why wouldn't you just make that move now? Why are you going to wait? You're going to pay you're paying the rest of that contract anyways. And you're giving up prospects to get there. I know, but what's the prorated a 2 month? I don't know. I just think it's really dumb. Like, why wait if you think you need an outfielder and that guy? I mean, Tommy Pham was good last year, so it's not like he's all of a sudden. I mean, you said it's a renaissance, but he was good last year, and it just doesn't make sense to me.
He wasn't
like
this good.
Clevenger too was fine. Yeah, he was good last year.
Unless you
Batted
think
like
you're going to
240.
play out what you have,
Not
that's the only reason. But
He's played for like 2 weeks this year. I don't think he's going to hit 330.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I agree, but
he's
that's
been
why I
scoring
called it a renaissance.
3 points a game on ESPN Fantasy until he started in my lineup for the first time today, my struggling, shitty team. And he comes in and goes 0 for 5 with 3 Ks. So maybe he's not that good.
I was going to say, he was batting 350 when I looked this morning, and now it's down to 314. So, yeah. I don't know,
that's weird for a guy with such a large sample size.
Hey, man, I was just trying to give it like a feel-good story instead of shitting on guys all the time.
Feel
Isn't
good,
that what
Coach
you guys
Kian.
told me to do?
Feel
Stop
good,
being all
Coach
sad.
Kian. Yeah, suck off Tommy Pham, but hate on Colin Ray. What a brand you got building over there, Coach Kian.
Dude, you just signed your death wish, buddy.
I guess. I don't know. I like Colin Ray a lot, but
dude, scoop waved to his brother once.
And I waved to Marco Estrada, who was once mentioned in this thing, and he waved back to me.
Marco Estrada was
the actual Marco Estrada.
I looked straight into the eyes of what I thought was Colin Ray outside of the Brewers Hotel in New York from my Uber and said, Colin Ray. And this guy looked at me and just fucking looked away. And then we saw the same guy sitting in the section next to us at the Yankees game that day. Turns out he's got a brother that looks like him and did not want to be called Colin Ray.
If you're playing that shot game that Cole mentioned earlier, how many times can Scoop mention that he saw Colin Ray's brother at the Yankee Stadium?
That would be 2 shots over the last 6 months. So
still a lot.
There you go.
But I was going to say, Kian, you inspired me.
Have I?
Yeah, when you just mentioned Marco Estrada getting you a wave and feel good stories. I was just going to say, it reminded me when it must have been 8, but I went early to the game. I was standing by the players' parking area, and a couple of guys, maybe some guys that aren't as cool and nice to the fans, like Ryan Braun, just yeeted right past all of us kids looking for autographs. But
you had to go get more lozenges.
I was gonna say, Ray Durham stopped over. He went like straight over and signed autographs for everyone. And he's a dude that he was he'd been an all-star early in his career, very solid MLB player, and he was kind of on the tail end by the time we acquired him from the Giants back then. He came over and was super personable. And then I also got, and I was like 7 or 8, so I didn't really know the backstory. But Eric Gagne came over and was super cool. I still have his autograph on this hat that like I wore for the next year straight, and it's kind of worn off now. But I was like, oh, this Gagne guy seems like a stand-up character. I was a little bit wrong.
Let me tell you about Eric Gagne.
Kind of how Coach Kian got fooled by Ryan Braun, but
fooled.
Yeah,
the man. He used to do the Turkey Day drive. He used to drive all the way. Well, I would say drive, but he got here all the way from Orange County to do the turkey drive the day before Thanksgiving.
All right. If anyone's still listening.
Oh, also, sorry.
Thanks for listening.
One last thing.
It's now the middle of the 5th inning.
What's the score, though? What's the score?
0-0. Well, Monastero's up with 2 outs in the top of the 5th.
Oh, Monastero's on. You didn't shout that
just
out.
bunted back to Weathers. So,
speaking of Churio, which is what I was about to mention, Churio just
swinging a drive.
Really?
I just got the update. Swinging a drive, deep straight away center. Chisholm goes back on the ball, jumps for it, and it's just out of his reach.
You were talking crap.
Stereo number 14.
Take it back.
Deep,
take it
back. Home run.
Alexander,
Chisholm almost pulled that back.
Jazz is dope.
Take it back, dude. I like Monasterio. He's sick, but
the fact I know you're going to clip this and put it on Twitter is
Let's go.
Hilarious to me. You put so much effort into that call.
Speaking of calls,
to talk over you.
I've seen multiple times on Twitter where people are hating on the female announcer for the A's, and she's not that
she's
bad.
ass.
Dude,
well,
she's not, dude. Yes. One of them looked bad. Dude, you could do that for any team. You could do that for anybody. You watch enough Brewers games, I promise you, there's some
way better.
Thank you. Dude, Churio was trying to break up the no-hitter with a bunt, which I didn't realize it was not until I just saw a tweet, and then the next bat.
Not anymore.
But Fuck yeah, let's go.
What were you
All right,
gonna
you
say,
gonna let me
Kian?
finish my last fun fact?
No.
So Jackson
just-
Churio just passed Ray Durham in all-time Brewers hits.
Ray Durham was a man though.
Owen Miller just
Absolute
doubled. Chisholm
useless
should have
stat.
caught it.
Well, Jazz isn't very good at the game of baseball, so
Dude, some of the I kind of like Jazz, but his like quotes about not going to practice and stuff are absurd, and I don't know why you would publicly say that.
Man,
I don't know if you've
because
heard
he's
any of that
cool.
stuff.
He's got aura.
He does have aura, dude.
He's
He's
got
been
aura. He
on
was
covers
the-
of video games,
Yeah,
bro.
he's on the cover of MLB 23, the show.
Oh yeah.
All right. Hey, thanks for listening, guys.
You should be in just a Kian and I. Because that might be the only people listening at this point. You want to shout out Spiders?
Shout out Spiders, the Scoop 15.
Well, what's the giveaway with the cups coming up, right?
Oh yeah, retweet our tweet for giveaway for a swag pack from Spiders. We're picking
Swag
a winner
pack?
on Monday, Memorial Day Monday.
What's in the
pack.
swag
You
pack?
mean brew pack?
Bunch
Brew
of swag
pack?
pack. All right, go Brewers, bye.